chair for, I can't say this, I'm going to read this, the Kaufman Chair for University Distinguished Teaching Scholars. And he's going to talk about MS Producer. It works with Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint and audio and video. Right. So with further ado, let's...
All right, well, thank you. You didn't come to the wrong place. This isn't a hairstylist convention, although it may appear that way. But I kind of wanted to just start out with something a little whimsical to give you an idea of what is Producer. And some of you may have never seen it before or never used it or have absolutely no clue what it is. So this is a very quick demo that I put together a little while ago in about 7 or 8 minutes. So the quality of the discussion you will see is not that high, but it gives you an idea of some of the capabilities and how quickly a tool like this can be used to put some content into a format that can be then broadcast over the web or on CDs or anything like that. So just a real quick preview of what I'm going to talk about.
Success in modern business is more than just getting a good education. It's also knowing what style draws the customer. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Knowing what to wear when you're in a business setting. We're going to kind of go back in history a little bit and learn about the mullet and how people in the 1980s were able to rectify or come up with a balance between looking professional and still allowing their inner child to play a little bit. The mullet, business in front, party in the back. The mullet's origins are somewhat mysterious. We believe that probably Mississippi and the Delta area gave rise to this hairstyle initially because some talented business person found out they had to interact with someone on the East Coast or West Coast. As a result, they had to have a good appearance from the front, but they still wanted to let their rebel side show in the back. The classic mullet that you see now before you is an example of someone who has all the proper elements of a mullet: short in front, long and wild in back, kind of a chipper smile on their face. The classic mullet gave rise to the Camaro cut, which was a little rougher hairstyle. It still showed the rough side of someone, yet gave them a bit of the mullet mystique. The Camaro obviously was the most popular car in the 1970s and 80s, and the Camaro cut mullet went along with that. Well, the business mullet emerged from this environment and was soon found in all corners of American corporations. This gentleman shown on the screen right now, hard at work, is sporting a mullet. You can tell that the conservative side has crept in a bit further, yet still the main thick thatch of hair running down his back shows that, yes, he does have a wild, rebellious side. He can still hop on that Harley on the weekend, but he's not going to offend the boss during the week. Some people wanted to get in on the mullet movement, but they were perhaps a little bit too old. The skullet, or what I call the unintentional mullet, resulted perhaps not because someone wanted to cut the front of their hair, but simply because it was missing. Many skullet or mulletees are angry due to the fact that they've lost so much of their hair, but not all of them are. You can see the smiling person down in the lower right corner. He doesn't even probably realize that's what happened to him. The mullet, or the skullet wearer, refuses to let go of his respected mullet plumage in the back. This shot right here shows a little bit about a social study that was done trying to trace the origins of the mullet. Many of them, like I said, were found in the Deep South. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. Finally, a rare shot of the mullet to end all mullets. This is the finest known example of mullets in the world. This person, however, probably didn't make it in the business world. He spent too much time preening and taking care of this magnificent thatch of hair growing down his back. Here's another rare shot. This is a mullet with a mullet. When I was a kid growing up, I always thought a mullet was a fish. It wasn't until into the mid-'80s that I realized there was more to it. This is a shot showing a person, probably technically a skullet wearer, holding on to a mullet. So a mullet with a mullet. You can see the trend for mullets in the United States is not that promising. As time has progressed, the mullet wearer has declined. So if any of you have an inkling to sport a mullet to help your business career, this might be something to think about. Bring the mullet back. There are some mullet movements currently afoot that might help this a little bit. The neo-mullet is one that I've shown a couple pictures of here. The neo-mullet wearer typically shaves portions of their head and allows the luxuriant growth to still cascade down their back. The person on the left might be called a quickie neo-mullet. This is someone who decided on the spur of a moment that a mullet was required, and they quickly fashioned one out of what hair they already had. The one on the right is a more sophisticated neo-mullet. Chart up on this screen right now shows some of the most common mullets. We've talked about most of them. I think as long as Hollywood's infatuation with the mullet continues, there's no danger of the mullet disappearing. You can see a couple examples up here. Joe Dirt in the famous Mullet magazine, both working hard to keep the mullet alive in American mainstream. In conclusion, you could say there's many mullets around the world and everyone has their favorites. Some like the skullet, some the Kentucky waterfall, some just go for the good old classic mullet. My favorite? Well, there's no place like the mullet in spring break antics. Take care and grow that hair. Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, so anyways, I know the Salina people are probably not able to see that because my screen had to be flipped to a different mode in order to... Whoops. Sorry, a little bit of music at the end there. So, okay, so anyways, you get the idea a little bit of what can be done with Microsoft Producer. Like I said, that was a very quick presentation done. The sound quality wasn't that great. I used a little mic like this and a little webcam just in my office space and threw some PowerPoint slides up there and just kind of said whatever came to the top of my head there to create this little demo. So it's not exactly rocket science to do this, but you can have a lot of fun with it. You can put a lot of good content and bring it all together that way. So today I'm going to kind of show you a couple different things. What I'd like to do first is just kind of give you an idea of the steps in the process of creating a PowerPoint Producer presentation. And if you haven't gotten a handout back there, I've got those in the back that kind of give you a set of steps. So I'll go through those a little bit just to give you an idea of how you might do that. This is kind of a tutorial guide, so later if you decide to do this yourself, it should have all the steps and all the ideas of how to create a PowerPoint or a Producer for PowerPoint type presentation with the minimum amount of trouble and learning curve. And after that, then I'll show you a few other things. I'll demonstrate how to capture some content with a webcam and microphone, and then how to do a screen capture. So we'll just see kind of how to do that. Hopefully, if this all goes well, you'll see it live up here on the screen. And then I'll show you some tricks of the trade, a few little things that I've found make it better or easier to do these types of presentations. And then I'll show you a couple of other ideas that might be usable. If you don't want to go the full route of Microsoft Producer, you can actually do video embedding in PowerPoint directly, or just putting voice with PowerPoint. And both of those methods also are pretty effective. And sometimes I think maybe Producer is a little overkill for some of the applications we need to use it for. And then finally, I'm going to kind of close out with a little demonstration of a PowerPoint for Producer project that some student groups did in class, and just give you a quick preview of some of the things that they're doing in the classroom to give you an idea of other ways that you might be able to use this. So we'll kind of start out with things that way a little bit. But I'd like to kind of just give you an idea of what's involved with creating a presentation with Producer. And I think that it's really pretty straightforward if you can get this set up on your machine and get it started up that way. It really doesn't take a lot of extra time and energy to get this together. The way I typically like to do it is create a PowerPoint presentation and bring in any video or graphics and things that I want to display to the class. And then I pull all that material into Producer and then just kind of narrate it from that point on. So it's pretty easy to get. Producer is available from Microsoft at no cost. The only drawback right now is they have not released a 2007 edition. And I can't find any information documenting whether or not that's on their docket or on their plan set. It, however, does work with Office 2007 as long as you save your PowerPoint slides in 2003 format. So you have to do a save as command and save them out that way. So it's pretty straightforward to do. Obviously, the first thing you're going to want to do is put Producer on your machine. Like I said, you can go out to Microsoft and find the download link and put it out on as a download. So what I found is that probably every couple months they change the address to this. You may have to do a search on Microsoft's website to find Producer, but in any case, it's easy to install. It will check and see if you have valid Microsoft licenses, and then it will go ahead and allow you to download that. And once it's downloaded, just hit the run button and install. It's going to pop up on the screen with very little difficulty at all, so that's probably the easy part. Once you get past the stage of installation and you want to run Producer, you just simply need to start it up, and it's going to bring up this text box that's going to, or this dialog box that's going to ask you what you want to do. And you can see some of the choices. You can either use a new presentation wizard, you can start a blank project, or open an existing project. I generally use the presentation wizard because what it does is it prompts you to go out and gather up all the pieces for your presentation from different locations on your computer and put them in one spot. One of the things I found out with the practice I've had over time, and I've probably created maybe about 50 of these presentations now for different distance classes, what I think works the best is to actually put all your material in one folder in one location on your computer before you start this process. Because what happens otherwise is you end up with this material scattered around your computer, and then if you ever try to make changes in the future and you change your folder structure at all, you end up with a big mess trying to locate everything. So I'll just kind of give you some things I've encountered over time. The presentation wizard's then going to prompt you, like I said, asking you for different pieces of material. It starts out asking you what sort of format you want the screen to look like. And you may notice some of these remind you of Tegrity a little bit if you use Tegrity, but you've got essentially probably about 24 or 25 different templates that are going to be the design of how your presentation will look. And you can vary the size of the video screen, the PowerPoint screen, and you can also put other types of content on there like pictures, graphics from Excel, different things that you might want to do. So there's a whole variety of different templates you can use. You can also modify the template in the middle of your presentation, so you can use one template for a while and then switch to another one and switch to another one, so that your screen format for your output is going to look different based on your preferences at that time. However, the wizard just prompts you for the main template. It's going to ask you for different fonts that you want as defaults and different colors, and allow you to select different kinds of backgrounds for how you want the presentation to look. And by default, it comes up with just the blue and white, but you can pretty much vary it to look the way you want to. It's going to prompt you for a title and the presenter's name, and it's going to ask you for a image that you want to display on the front of Producer when it first pops up. So you can kind of browse out and find all that material. You can go out and find the different pictures and different things like that that you want to put into your site. The next, and this is probably one of the key points, is to import your PowerPoint slides. And you just browse out, find them, and import them. And it's going to bring that into the presentation for you. Finally, you have a choice of either importing video, importing audio, or recording it with a webcam or a digital video camera. And although I'm using this one as a demo, when I do these for my classes, I use a little digital video camera to get a little higher quality output, obviously. So, you can really get by with something like this, but depending on your video card and how fast of a CPU and what kind of graphics, drivers you have on your computer, it's going to vary greatly. So when we record things later this afternoon on this computer, it's just a small laptop with not a lot of power. It's going to be a pretty choppy presentation that we put together, but it still gives you an idea what happens. So it's going to prompt you then how you want to capture content. If you want to narrate, and you can see some of the different choices up there. You can either narrate with slides and video, or your slides and video and audio. You can use just audio, so if you only want to record your voice and not have them see you, if you're recording on a day when you've just gotten a black eye or something like that, you don't want your students to notice that. You can also do a screen capture, which is very handy. The screen capture part is whatever you show on your computer screen is going to be recorded. So that's also a really handy feature to have. It's going to then prompt you as to what settings you want for your audio and video capture. The best that you can do is to record at a high rate of 800 kilobytes per second, but if you do that, it's going to create very, very large files. And if you're posting this on K-State Online or a place where you're going to be downloading it, you may not want to have that gigantic file size. So I usually pick kind of a middle of the road, either the modem 100 or 150 kilobytes per second, just to kind of get a, nice sort of average between good quality and small file size. Another thing that I've discovered, and this is just through my use of this with different students, is that almost none of them have problems with the presentations when you use the Windows Media 8 codec. But if you go to the Windows Media 9, about 50% of them cannot see the presentation anymore. And sometimes it just seems like it's been a problem I haven't been able to overcome with them, even if we install the new codecs, because the newer ones maybe are at 10 or 11 now or something, and so for some reason 9 seems to be an oddball codec. So I always record in the 8 when I'm using this. So, oops, I don't want to do that. So, okay. The next thing it will do is it will look for video devices. If you say you want to record audio and video, it's going to scan your machine and see what's available out there. This right now is hooked up to a little webcam, and that's what kind of popped up in the drop-down box. A lot of times if you're using a laptop, or even if you're using a plug-and-play desktop, if you don't have those things plugged in prior to starting up your machine, sometimes it won't recognize them. So it's a good idea to have your audio and video devices plugged in ahead of time, and then select the one you want. When I use a digital video cam, I always plug it in through FireWire connection instead of a USB or anything like that, so it's a little bit faster connection. The microphone is also available on there, and when you plug or when you come to this screen, you can kind of tap on your mic and make sure the levels seem to kind of move a little bit when you're trying to record. So you can set up that. Once you get this set up, you're ready to start recording. You press the next button. It's going to bring up the PowerPoint slides one by one, and it's going to bring up the capture wizard. This is kind of where I've had a few odd things happen on different computers. The window that you see up there with the mullets slide, that's actually run through a JavaScript type application, I guess. And in some computers that have high security settings or don't have JavaScript enabled, you get an error message there, and it'll come up with a box that tells you, there's an error, and you can press OK on the error message, and you will still be able to record and see everything, but it won't advance to the next slide when you press next slide. It just keeps the first slide up on the screen. But down on the bottom where it says slide 1 of 15, that'll advance and move ahead that way. So I've had some bad luck on recording on some computers in that I've basically printed out the slides so I know what's coming next, and I can't visually see them on the screen, but it still records and does it fine. The best bet is to make sure your settings are going to be compatible with it, and your security settings are low enough, and you have JavaScript working okay on your machine, then you won't have this problem. So the next thing that I would recommend as just a good idea for recording is that you want to mute your speakers down there, and see where it says show preview and mute speakers. If you click mute speakers, it's going to prevent this kind of a feedback loop from happening, and it will get rid of some of the bad sounding, static in what you're doing. So as you then begin recording, you click capture, you start talking, it's going to record the video in your voice, and as you want to move from slide to slide, you just press the next slide button. Another bit of advice is between slides, or when you decide you're going to clip slides from place to place, it's not a bad idea to come to a complete stop in your talking, pause a second or two, and then click advance. Sometimes in the finished presentation, the transition doesn't occur exactly where you think it will. There's a little bit of a timing issue going on there, so I always do stop and click. And the other advantage that gives you is later on, if you want to re-record one slide, producer's going to segment the video by slide, so you can go back and cut slides out or add new slides, and you have sort of this natural stopping point. You're not cutting in the middle of a sentence. So it usually works that idea there, and I guess I had some of these hints up on the screen. Once you're finished with your final slide, or if you want to just quit, you can hit the stop button, and that will quit the recording. Now, once you stop recording, and I've done this to myself many times, and I continually slap myself across the face when I do this, but I hit stop, and then I hit finish down there, and I get out, but I forget to unmute the speakers. Okay? So when I try to play it back later on, there's no sound, and I'm like, I just wasted 20 minutes on that, and there's no sound. And then I'll start recording it over and realize the mute speaker button is still on. So it's a good idea to click that off when you're done, or you can also unmute the speakers through Windows directly if you want to. You don't have to use that particular one to do that. Okay, so once you've got your content recorded, a few other pieces of advice I would have for people, and one is that you put everything into one folder, like I said before. The other piece of advice is you use folder names that have one word and no space in there. See how I've got mullet files with an underscore? If you said mullet files with no underscore, it's going to work okay 80% of the times, but for some reason on some computers with file names that have a space in between, it can't find certain files and won't work. On my machine, this wasn't an issue at all. It worked perfectly. I'd play it back on my computer fine. Some of the students who downloaded this material for part of their online class could never get it to work, and I eventually found out I had to go back in and manually find everywhere the string mullet files was in any kind of code and change that. And then once I did that in the code and reloaded it up online, it worked fine. So these kinds of little problems are things that hopefully you can avoid by just doing a few simple things up front. So anyways, click finish. It's going to be done. And then click finish again, and you're done. Now, Producer automatically synchronizes the slides if you capture content in the way that I've just showed you. That means it's going to put a transition between slides and video at each location where you click the next button. This isn't always what you're going to have up front. Sometimes you're going to want to import video. Maybe you have a YouTube video or something that you want your class to see. You can insert that into the video line, but then it puts off everything else. So there's a set of synchronization features that you can use, and you can see this tab up here, Synchronize, and what it will do basically is start playing the content back for you and allow you to press advance on different slides as you go along. So after you record, you can resynchronize if you want to insert new material or change things around a little bit. And that kind of finishes your presentation. What you've got now at the end of this process is you have raw material for a published version of Microsoft Producer. That means that all the files are there, all the videos are there, but it's not in a format that someone can view unless they have Producer on their machine now. So it's created kind of a raw file for them. The next step is to publish the presentation, and that means you're going to have it reformatted into a web browser compatible set of files that you can then upload. So we've created content, now we want to publish the presentation. And you can see the publish presentation option there. It brings you to another wizard. I've tried different settings on here before, and I've always come back to the fact that the My Computer one works best. Even if you're putting it out to a web server directly or something, it just seems it's easier to put it onto your computer in one folder and then just copy that folder up to K-State Online or some other web server. So I always pick My Computer. I always give it some type of a name that has one word in it, again for the same reasons I was talking about before, and keep the name short, I guess, is another piece of advice. And then I go through, and some of the stuff you entered before will pop up on the screen. You can put a description in if you want something there for your students to read. And then I always choose this publish setting for different audiences selection. If you choose this, it will create a high-speed and low-speed version of the same thing and allow your audience to select what type of internet connection they have. So it works out pretty well. And I've actually had people view these with 56K modems across in western Kansas. And believe it or not, it actually works fine as long as they're patient enough to let it download for like 40 minutes ahead of time. So what I tell them is they're like, I'm watching this and the slides don't show up, or it cuts out, the video stops. This actually streams the content out to the user. So if it's streaming at a very slow rate, you know, they're watching it at a faster rate than it's streaming. They're not going to see it contiguously. So what I tell them is to go ahead, start it up, just go to the page where they're watching it, and then walk away and do something for an hour and come back, and then they can watch it without any trouble, as if it were real time. So it will allow them to do different kinds of things. I generally pick a few different settings, usually the middle band of 3 there, or sometimes the dial-up one as well. Any ones I think they're going to use. And again, I make sure it's set to the Windows 8 codec up at the top. It seems to work the best. Click through a couple screens, and then it's going to create the presentation, and it's going to save a project folder or file for you that you can then get. So that's really all there is to creating content with Microsoft Producer. Kind of goes through in a quick way. I kind of mentioned this before, but Producer 2007 has not been released. Microsoft has not come out with any kind of definitive word on whether they're going to release it or not. I don't think it's too big of a problem right now because you can just save PowerPoint slides in the 2003 format. There is one hitch though. If you have the Windows Vista operating system, they don't have the right drivers for this yet, and I don't know what's going to happen with that yet. I've got a couple of MBA students right now who are doing this as sort of a project, trying to see if they can get it working with Vista, and we'll see how that turns out. But right now it doesn't look too promising unless some new drivers are released for it. So that's just a little bit about using Producer. And if anybody has any questions now, I'll take those before I go on to something else. Yeah?
I've got a couple. What's the typical file size that gets created?
That's
For example, your mullet presentation.
Yeah, well, let's go out and take a look and see. It creates a whole bunch of files when it creates a file. So if I look at the mullet folder that it created, it's actually got 22, almost 22 megabytes for that mullet folder. Okay, and a lot of that's video, and a lot of it's because it has multiple versions of the video in the same folder. If you want to I don't know if you guys can see my computer there or not, but if you look at what it creates a whole set of files, video and audio, and stores them in different folders. It creates thumbnails for each slide, and it creates a whole set of literally dozens and dozens of files, and script files and all kinds of stuff like that. So you end up with...
The students necessarily have to have a PC with MS Office on this. What if they have a Mac, or is there some kind of open source viewer for these?
Well, actually, they just have to have a web browser. That's all to view it. To create it, they have to have Office. So,
okay.
Yeah. So it's just...
One last one.
Sure.
I can see immediately how this would be useful for distance ed applications, but if I'm only teaching in a classroom, why would I use this?
Well, I actually use it quite a bit in my classroom for a couple of different reasons. One, I like to post tutorials on how to use different software packages with this. So I found in the classroom, if I lecture on how to use some piece of software, people become disengaged very quickly, and they don't like seeing how I go through the steps. So I create a version of this I post online for them to watch at the time they want. And then the second way I use it is to, if I'm going to be traveling or at a conference, I like to record the lecture ahead of time and post it out there and let them watch it that way. Other professors who use these types of technologies, I've heard from Bill Shea, who's in the computer science department. He uses Tegrity, which is very similar to this. He uses it to record all of his lectures, and he uses all of his classroom time to do discussion and problem solving and helping. So he doesn't have any in-class lecture anymore. He didn't in some classes. So I think there's a lot of ways of using this type of material. Yeah?
How do you deal with the mandate that comes up with the ADA criteria?
That's a good question. I think you'd have to get someone to transcript the whole thing for you. But yeah, that's... Fortunately, with the PowerPoint slides already there, you do have some readable material, but that's definitely an issue that has to be addressed with all of our distance learning material.
I just read the article today.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was thinking, uh-oh. But I think any type of video that we're producing, and this kind of falls into that category, is going to be something we have to consider how we're going to do that.
Right.
it's going to be a problem, I think, in some of
Is
these.
it a simple matter to upload this to K-State Online, or what?
Yes.
That be uploaded?
Yep, it's very easy to upload it. What I do is I just drag my folder up there, and like this mullet one right here, all I would do is go to the drag and drop option on K-State Online and drag and drop this mullet folder up there. And once it's there, you have to give you have to publish a couple of key files, and one of them is the HTML file that you click on to start it up. That has to be the green light, red light type thing. It has to be a green light file. So that file has to be green lighted, and then there's actually hidden way far away in one of these other folders. And I think it's anyone who's going to do this, I'll be happy to send you an email about this, but hidden away in one of these folders are a set of JavaScript files that also have to be enabled. Right here, this one that's called master, these master files, and this script file, they have to be green lighted. But they're embedded in a folder that's not green lighted, so the students never see them. But if you don't turn the green light on those, it won't work.
Right, can't find it.
And so over time, I originally used to green light all the files, and over time I've slowly started turning more and more of them red until finally I've got down to exactly which files have to be visible to the system. So, and if you plan to do this, send me an email and I'll send you a list of the file names for that, because it will save you a lot of time and frustration. So that works out pretty well that way. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can students still print a copy of their PowerPoint slides from this, or do you need to upload those
You
separately?
need to upload them separately.
Okay, so they can follow along with additional.
Exactly. Yeah, you do need to do that. So, and people have watched them both on Macs and PCs with their browsers, as far as I know, without too much trouble. So, okay. Any other questions? Well, let's go ahead and just kind of quickly see how to capture some content here. And I'm just going to go ahead and open up a blank project and just kind of show you how to bring some stuff in here. This is essentially what I would do to start out with. Is I would just go ahead and import my slides first if I was going to do it without the wizard. And I've just got these slides here called Leadership, which are just a small set of slides that we can use for today. So I've created them as normal. And one of the other questions I get sometimes are, if you have animations in your slides or special effects, a lot of times those don't work. So you have to just kind of have plain slides. Although I've had some students tell me they've gotten some of the special effects to work, I personally have not tried that out myself too much.
What if you wanted to capture another program, like if you wanted to demonstrate a file in either a programming language operation or Excel or some other?
Sure.
Do you just do it in a screen capture?
Yeah, I'll show you that in a
Okay.
minute here. Yeah, because it's pretty straightforward to do that. So when you bring in the slides, it will bring in and show the slides as a group, and then if you click on the group, it shows you each individual slide. So if you bring in a slide set and you don't want to, video record all of them, you can bring in a subset or whatever. It's pretty flexible that way. You can import images as well. And so you have that. If you have an audio file recorded in MP3 or anything like that, some kind of music files, and I think I've got one on here that may not be showing up, maybe not. Oops. Got one more. Well, maybe I don't have a sound file here, but anyways, if you have a sound file, you can bring that in and pop that in. I think I lost track of how much stuff I was bringing over, so I don't have a sound file to bring in right now. But and then if you have an external video file, and I've got one right here that's from YouTube, that'll just pop in here, so we can mess around with that a little bit too. So anyways, we've got some different components now. We have our slides, some video, and an image. Usually what you're going to do is the slides provide the basis for it, so you're just going to drag them down to your timeline and stick them in there, and it automatically sets them up with a certain amount of time for each slide. So right now, right off the bat, by putting those in the timeline, I've got kind of the basis for the presentation set up. And you can see just by pressing preview, it's going to kind of step through the slides and show you what's up on the screen right now. So I'll go ahead and stop that. You can also likewise drag in any kind of audio or video that you have, and I'll go ahead and just drag a video down here, and maybe we'll put this in here somewhere like that. And we've got video. And if you have an image, you can use it in different ways. You can either put an image to appear in the video window, or you can put it down in the timeline, just like anything else, and have it appear at a certain point in time. So as like a slide or something like that. So just drag the material where you want it to go. Once you get the material in place and set up kind of how you might want it to be, then you can go ahead and start the capture operation. And the capture operation is going to give you some different choices. I'll start out by the most common one, which is to just narrate with audio and video up here. You can see that. You could also do any of these other ones, and we'll come back and do a screen capture one in a little bit because it's probably a bit different. We're going to hit yes on this. Since I put my video track in there, it's going to, I'm just going to go ahead and overwrite it for now. I usually record either one of the 2 or smaller video windows just to kind of keep it moving at a good pace, and one of the medium range ones here, Windows 8 codec, and start it up. And I've got the webcam on here. So you can kind of see, I didn't install the actual software on here. So this is, like I said, my laptop is not a high-powered CPU, so it's going to be really choppy as far as this video goes. If you have a DV video recorder with FireWire connection, it's going to be pretty good. And then I've got my microphone on here, and you can see when I tap it, I'm getting some sound back. And again, this is a cheap mic. The mic I use recording at home is a little better mic, like this is the one I actually use. And I've also found, for even a better quality sound, if you buy a microphone that does not run through the sound card in your PC, you get a better quality result. So if you get a sound card that has a USB connection and it has the little sound driver separately, that works better. And particularly with laptops, this is going to get a really lousy sound because the sound card is embedded so close to everything else, you get a lot of static, everything here. So you go with it that way. But we're just doing a demo, so you get the idea. I always use a desktop computer when I'm doing this recording for real because I just find out it gets a little bit better. So anyways, I've got my slideshow here now, and if I want to start recording for my quality class, I always want to mute my speakers ahead of time so I don't get the feedback. And then I just begin the capture process. So let's start narrating. And like I said, if I had installed the actual correct software on here, you wouldn't keep seeing their advertising screen for this webcam TV popping up on here. But so it's recording what I'm saying. I would move from slide to slide as I went along. This is a little presentation that I do kind of tongue-in-cheek for my class when we talk about leadership and quality. Talk about how leadership is not for everyone. You know, if everyone was a leader, who would be the follower type of thing? And I try to talk to my students a little bit about some bad traits, things that would make them a non-leader, so that they can, you know, see how that might mash with being a leader, and get some of the hints up here. Non-leaders have more drinking time, less gym time. They shorten conversations by interrupting. Everything is an emergency and crucial. Bad leaders put off performance discussions until the last second when it's too late. They become a shuttle negotiator. They act like they're the best friend of each person when they're with them. They make all priorities equal and randomly shift the focus between things depending on their mood. They like to keep people on their toes through unpredictability and unexpected rage. They like to watch inane TV and web browsing in their spare time. And they always imagine the worst thing that can happen in a project and then act accordingly as if that is what's going to happen. They allow their fear to show, and they try to remain professionally stagnant. So these are all hints and ways to become a non-leader if you're not interested in being a leader. And then finally, if all else fails, have fun with your leadership position. And I kind of talk a little bit about how if they are forced into a position of leadership, make them pay for it. So, so anyways, that's just a real quick presentation. I would hit stop then, and then post my video. And this computer, I'm just sticking it in my videos for now, but if I was going to publish this, I would have a special one-word folder set up for it, and I would give it a more meaningful name instead of Untitled 15, but you can see how that does. And so then we are finished. We want to uncheck. We want to stop. And I want to uncheck the recorder. Now this is one of the drawbacks to this laptop. It may look like it's locked up, but it's actually chugging through all this video right now. This is a very slow process, and I'm hoping I didn't record for too long. Okay, and there it goes. So we are done. I can hit finish. I already saved it, but anyways. Hit finish down here. But this was the drawback. I actually had another better laptop from, I guess, from the iTech or somewhere, and it does this better, but it had the JavaScript error probably, and I wasn't up to fixing that. So it was a trade-off between either a slow video processing machine or something that would not do that. So anyways, there we go. Okay. So now we've got our timeline set up and everything synchronized. So you can kind of see it went through and it synchronized what material I put in there and put it into place, and has now got it where we want it to go. And I'm just going to go back really quick and go to my media for a second, because the video that I stuck in there before got overwritten. So I can then bring my video back in. And let's see, the video I had, this one from YouTube. I'll just stick that out on the end for now, just for fun. And then we can go back and actually preview what we've created here. So we get to this point, I'll just start it at this slide.
If they are forced into a position of leadership, make them pay for it. So, so anyways.
I have a question for you. Is this my pen? Is this my pen? Answer. This is not my pen. This is the company's pen. If I were to take this pen home and use it for anything other than company business, I would be stealing from the company. Do you get it? A little birdie told me you took a little box of rubber bands home. Of what possible use could rubber bands be for this company in your home? Consequently, $1.29 will be removed for next week. Consequently, $1.29 will be removed from next week's papes. We're taking $1.29 out of your check. Now get out of here.
So anyways, yeah, YouTube can add a lot to your online presentations, and you can have a little fun with that too. So that's one way to kind of create some presentation content and stick it in there very, very quickly. And you can get very clever and organized with this over time. Let's just quickly take a look at how to do a screen capture process now and do a second capture here. But it's pretty straightforward. Again, you want to do the video screen capture with audio and set it up. And if I wanted to create a screen capture for this same presentation, I could do a little demo on the screen and just hit the next key here. The microphone has to be on, but the video cam does not need to be on, obviously. And we hit capture, and it brings up this box for you. And you can kind of see this is what's going to be captured on the screen. And you can choose different sizes of captures. If you're going to have a full screen or a bigger screen, you can pick out what it is that you want to capture and bring it in that way. For now, I'll just do a smaller one so I have less material coming in. And then again, you've got something weird here. They go back to 7 and 9 codecs here, so I usually go back to 7 just to keep it safe. I mute the speakers, and I will also want to minimize this window right here while capturing. So that takes, if you have any part of Producer running, it will minimize it while you're doing the video capture, because you don't probably want that up on the screen. So I think I've got a little file in here that I can bring up on the screen here. And yeah, let's see. I'll open that with Paint. Oops. So this right here is maybe what I want to do a demo in Microsoft Paint. So I'll just kind of get the file preset ahead of time. I can manipulate this little mouse here, move the thing into the area I want to capture, and then go ahead and do the capture wizard. So start that up. Go ahead and start the capture here. Whoops. I think I was actually capturing while I was doing that. Let me try it one more time. I've got kind of a bad mouse up here that I'm trying to deal with, one of these little tiny touch pads. So capture, screen capture, grab it and go, and mute my speakers, mute that, and then I'm going to capture up here. I think I hit the wrong button. Actually, I was blaming it on that. So whatever I show then on the screen, if I was doing the bad manager type thing, I could go up here and say, you know, instead of using kind words, we want to, and I can't even get this to go, but use unkind words or something like that. I could change the message here and you know, type in something and capture that. Unkind words. So you get the idea anyways. If I had a better mouse and was a little more clever myself, I could make a more meaningful presentation up here. But anyway, say I finished doing that. I'm not going to save the demo. I want to stop that capture now. Once you click that up, it stops it and it saves it to your folder. And then you can go in here to back to your capture wizard. And it's again slow because of my laptop. Once it's done, I can exit out and go back into my producer, which I inadvertently stopped, and bring it into the presentation there. So anyways, you can kind of see the idea there on how that might work. And bring it in and play it up that way. So the screen capture actually just becomes a video file. It's automatically stuck into the video section here. And you can see, I think that wasn't it. I think since I accidentally exited out, it didn't actually bring it in there, so go back here, import video, and go to my videos, and grab that screen capture. I think it was my video 17 or something there. No, it didn't even get saved, but anyways, you'd bring it in there, and then you could just embed it into your presentation anywhere that you wanted to. So hopefully that kind of answered the question and showed it a little bit. So anyways, that's kind of quickly how you can do some of the screen capture and material content capture. Just a few other little tricks of the trade I want to show you. First of all, like I said, I use a better mic, and you can use different kinds of microphones. I also use a green screen at my house, and what I've done is I've got a little office space, and I duct tape this up to the wall behind me. And this green screen allows you to do video capture, and then you can synchronize your video with other photos and different kinds of things like that. So I drive my wife crazy when I have this thing taped up on the wall downstairs, but occasionally I have to take it down and put it down. I also create content for Microsoft Producer with something that's called Movie Edit Pro 12. It's like a $49 software package down at Best Buy or somewhere, and it allows you to do green screen and blending and mixing and editing of videos. So if you want to do that first and import them, it works out a lot better. The other thing I do is I use these floodlights. I know this looks pretty bad, but I have like 6 of these that I put on, and I put them in different locations to eliminate all the shadows and stuff. And the first presentations I did for online classes did not have good lighting, and so I always look haggard and like I'm in the middle of a hangover or something like that. And these actually prevent that from occurring. So if you're looking at a really bad day, just stick one of the lights right on your lap, aiming right up at your face, and everybody thinks you look angelic or something like that. So I do that kind of thing. Another trick of the trade is to use video from other places. Okay, like that Bad Boss video that you just saw. That's actually a YouTube video. If you download YouTube video feeds, they don't come in a format that can be put into Producer. They come in an FLV format, which is like a flash animation format. You have to actually translate those into some sort of file that you can import into Producer. You can either put them into an AVI format or Windows Media format. Both of those work really well. What I used to do was there was a YouTube downloader from Japan that was a website. If you typed in YouTube downloader in Google, it would take you to a website. You could put in the URL of the video that you're viewing, and that would download the FLV file to your desktop. And then you could get some conversion software. I used one that was called Super. It was a piece of free software called Super, and it would convert FLV into AVI or WMV. And then I could put it into Producer. Yesterday, when I was looking at this, I couldn't find a copy of Super to download for free anymore because I wanted to test this out before I told everybody to run off and get this software. I found a new place that's called Vixy, VIXY.net. And Vixy.net is a YouTube downloader that also converts it for you automatically. So you get a converted file downloaded. It's very useful, and that's what I downloaded this boss video with. Made my life so much easier because it's just push in the URL, download it, and then there's another button to convert it to what you want to convert it to. So it really worked out very, very well, I think, for me and will for you too. So I hope that website stays up for a while. It's advertising supported, so as you're downloading, you're subjected to their advertising, but to me that's a very small price to pay for such a good feature. So anyways, there's that. A couple more things I wanted to show you that are kind of related to Producer. And that is, first of all, you can create just audio feeds directly in PowerPoint. So you can video record or capture, not video record, but actually capture audio. And this past summer I was working with a friend of mine who's an audiologist and helping him create PowerPoint with audio for an online class that he conducts. And I was showing him how to do this, and I did a couple modules for his class for him. And this is an example that this is taught through a different audiology university in Arizona, so it doesn't say K-State on there, but I haven't done this on a K-State class before, but I thought it's still interesting. And you can see each slide has a video or an audio track associated with it. And I recorded these, and then I ran them through some filtering software to take some of the static off and stuff and make them sound a little bit better and attach them. But I'll just show you really quickly what you can get. And if you have this embedded in your slides, what they do at this university is they have the students download the PowerPoint slideshow and then watch it on their own desktop. So they have links to download and they get them, and I think it works pretty well. But I'm not sure if I'll start automatically on this computer or not. If not, I have to click that. Maybe. Let's try it again. And you know what? I probably forgot to unmute my computer, didn't I? I almost made myself. Yes. Thank you. Look at that. Got me. I was ready for it too. Okay, so anyways, I'll try it one more time here. It's a good thing it's lunchtime soon here. Okay, try it once more.
Welcome to today's lecture. We're going to be talking about computer fundamentals and some of the terminology and ideas that describe today's modern computing environments. We're going to talk about a lot of things without getting into a great deal of depth on any one subject. It's going to be kind of a sweep through the world of computing, if you will. By the time you're done, you'll have some general foundation in place that are going to make future lectures a little bit easier to understand.
So anyways, you get the idea. You can embed the audio and stick it in there.
Some of the topics that we're going to look at.
This is, so you would just create the PowerPoint slide with the embedded audio, upload it on K-State Online, but then they would have to download it again and play it on the PowerPoint thing at home.
Right. This does work with a PowerPoint viewer, though. It does. Like, the audio still works. You don't have to have PowerPoint on your machine. You can just do it with a viewer and see it. And then the other thing you can do afterwards, if you want to, since it's in PowerPoint, you can actually do a save as web page for PowerPoint. And what it does is it extracts every single audio track and sticks it in its own file separately. So you can go back and recover all those audio tracks as individual sound files, which is really nice if you want to use it in more than one place. So and that's how I did. You can hear it was still a little staticky here. It used to be a lot more staticky than that because I didn't record it on very good equipment, and so I filtered it and made it a little less staticky by doing that technique and then pasting those back on there. So that's one possibility. Another thing you can do is actually embed your video directly into PowerPoint, and this is something else I've been playing around with a little bit, and this is a test, I guess a trial that I did for an online class here at K-State. So I made this video and put it into the slide.
Professor Roger McHaney standing in front of a modern corporation, one that undoubtedly depends on a variety of computing systems to carry out its daily business. Chapter 1 of your Stern Rounds textbook provides an overview of business computing. I'm going to spend a little time talking about a couple of key topics from that chapter. Later, in another video lecture with PowerPoint.
This is using your green screen?
Yeah, this is using my green screen. Exactly.
In case it ties everything together.
Yeah.
Here's a couple
That's a modern corporation behind me there.
Data are raw fact without context. Information is a collection.
And then it allows you, that software allows you to put titles and headings and stuff on the video too. So
I told you that 10 stood for my daughter's age, it suddenly becomes information. Information has value beyond the raw facts themselves. Second,
So this is all recorded down in my basement in a little room.
Components of a system include input, processing, output, and feedback. We'll also look at models or abstractions that can be used to represent systems.
So anyways, I'm toying around with that idea of embedding video and putting it on PowerPoint. And that's my, my thought is if producer does not make it to the next level, then this is probably how I would go and I'd grab the videos from producer and refit them with PowerPoint like that. So
What was the name of that software to manipulate?
this software, it's called Movie Edit Pro, and this is version 12 that this was recorded with. So there's also another really nice package out there that I was talking to Ben about yesterday. It's called Visual Communicator, and it's part of the Macromedia's family. Visual Communicator is way better than this Movie Edit Pro, but it costs $400, and so for me, the $39 edition seemed to be the way to go. But Visual Communicator was a standalone company for a long time, and they made prompter software for newscasters and things like that, and then they took it to the PC level. And so the nice thing about their software is when you're actually giving a video lecture, you can make it teleprompt you as you go along on your laptop screen and see what you're going to say ahead of time at a certain rate of speed. And that doesn't go into the video output. So, you know, instead of taking up your screen, seeing what you already know is there, they have this nice video feed going, or text feed going across the screen. So that's the other thing I wanted to show you. Another approach that some people have been talking about a little bit is to create a blog style presentation of your class. And that just means that you would put your kind of screen captures of PowerPoint and stuff next to a video feed in sort of a blog-like forum. And to me, that's another experimental method I'd like to try out sometime, just to see how that goes. So just to show you one more quick thing here before I wrap up. The other thing I have done in this area is create student teams. In the student teams, I've then asked to take this technology and do something creative with it. I usually assign them a topic in the area of the class that they're working in, and then give them a similar talk to this one here, and then cut them loose and ask them to create something neat. And then they give it to me, I post it online, and then all the other class members watch it and critique it and so forth. And at the same time, I'm hoping they learn some content along with the techniques of doing this. This one here is one that a student group created last semester. It's kind of interesting because they did a lot of videography type stuff with it beyond what I would do. The only drawback is that it's, I don't know, I guess it's modern learning, if you will. They have some good content later on, but I want to show you what they did up front because I thought it was very imaginative and interesting. So you can tell they're the YouTube generation that's coming up right now. So we'll go ahead and let you take a look at this as kind of a closing sample. And it takes just a second to load up. But they were doing a, well, I'll let them tell you what they're doing here.
The Visa check card. Because money shouldn't slow you down.
So they added this video on it, and then they start out their presentation at that point in time. And actually, that wasn't the one I wanted to show you guys. That was a good one, but I may have brought the wrong presentation along. The other one was a little bit more inventive, but let me just double check and see. I bet you I didn't bring it along, sorry to say. But if anyone wants to see a couple samples of these later on, you can email me and I'll show you what material we have. So I think that's the same one. So the other one is actually a very funny one too, but the idea is that you can take a student group, you can give them a topic, give them some material and some ideas, and then cut them loose. And they've actually created, a lot of them have created things that are way more imaginative than I could ever come up with. And they've done some video work, and some of them have gotten into the project to such an extent that they've kind of forgotten what the rest of the class is really about. But I think they learn an awful lot from that kind of engagement. So I've enjoyed doing that. And that's kind of all I was going to talk about. So if anybody has any questions or comments? If you want to contact me about Producer, if you're thinking about putting something online, I'll be happy to give you some consulting on, like I said, which files have to be enabled, some hints, or if you're having some trouble getting it set up or something, I'll be happy to help out any way I can. It's a good package, and I think it's hopefully got a good feature.